Well, thank you for staying with us. Time now for us to get into the newspapers, and I'll be introducing my guest shortly. But before that, as always, this segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And they are offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening as well. You can locate them in different parts of the country. Let's start from right here in Accra. Locate them at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronum Abwehia behind the Angel Community Complex. There's also Community 22 in Tema. In Takrade, it is Anaji Estate. Then they are in Techiman Hanswa and Esiama in Zama. The call lines, both of them, are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Now, this morning, we have an aspirant, someone who is hoping to represent the National Democratic Congress in the Ketu North constituency. He's in the person of Dr. Donald Senanu Agumenu. He is our guest for the morning. What a shade of white as far as your background is concerned. Doc, a very good morning to you.
Very good morning. Doing well.
Right. I don't know whether it's the internet connection or the positioning, but it's a bit blurry this morning. But at least I can make you out. Thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, it's actually because of the internet connectivity. I'm actually within the borders of Togo and Ghana. And, there's a bit of interaction in network.
I see. So you find yourself, I've been in that area, so I know what it's like. But I usually do this together with those I host on the show, whether for this segment or the big stories. I'd like to find out from you, why do you even want to do this? Even before we get into the papers, why do you want to represent Ketu North? What is it about you that makes you interested in going into politics, first of all, and in becoming the representative of the people of Ketu North? Share a few words with us.
Yeah, first of all, we need to understand that politics is meant for development, and politics should be used as a strategic tool to develop our people.
Right.
And for me, as someone who believes in leadership and believes in building capacity for humanity and uplifting the best in nature, this opportunity, I believe, is what we could use to bring the best to our people. I actually build this on the principle, I believe, that building upon the existing legacy. You would agree with me that Ketu North so far had two MPs, starting from Honorable Modesto Sahiabla to Honorable Abeji. And this is going to be the third time for us to have a parliamentary or parliamentarian in the Fourth Republic.
Right.
And for me, I believe that what they've done so far is good, but we can build upon that. And when you take the experiences that I've had throughout my career, and also the opportunities within Ketu North, I believe that this is the time for us to uplift the game and build upon that legacy, and build the necessary infrastructure that we need, because Ketu North is strategically located within the corridors of the ECOWAS sub-region. And that is a good opportunity for us to create more jobs, to give hope to the youth and also the women at large.
Right. So you want to take over from there. What are some of the good things that you feel they've done? You mentioned that they had done something and you were hoping to build on that foundation and do more. What are some of the good things you've seen done that you would like to continue? And what are some of the needs of your constituency that have not been addressed? I mean, you go across the length and breadth of the country. Oftentimes you will find schools without, schools under trees, schools without the necessary facilities, desks and all of that. Sometimes it would be water problems. The people don't have potable water. Sometimes it is roads and so many infrastructural challenges. What are the core challenges of people in Ketu North?
Yeah, so far so good. You would see that Ketu North demographically would account for more than 100,000. And the youth population is very large. The level of education is appreciable. But we need to equally look at how can we look at technical education, vocational education, creating jobs for the people. And in terms of water scarcity, I can say that our two MPs, or former MP, Honorable Modesto Sahiabla to Honorable Adveji, they've done well in the area of water provision.
Right.
But there are some areas that we can fill in. And for me, as an advocate for water security, provision of potable water, one of my core aims is to making sure that no community will be left in Cattle North without water. When it comes to women, Cattle North is still an agrarian community. You look at the rice production, you look at cassava, you look at maize and all that. How can we add value to that so that we would be a breadbasket in Ghana? And how can we equally export some of those produce? Within the aquatic component, you will see that we have the enabling environment to build upon agribusiness. And I believe tapping into those things would help us create the needed job for our people to alleviate poverty.
Interesting thoughts you've shared. Now, even as I get into the papers, there's a very important issue that I'm going to be bringing to you as well. The Daily Graphic this morning says CSOs call on 2 Electoral Commission appointees to resign. And I'm talking about Codeo, among others. The NDC has also spoken on this matter. I'll be getting in some details from there. Decisions of Supreme Court critical for national development. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. And then Easter celebrations, love, forgiveness, honesty must reign supreme. Church leaders to Ghanaians pictured there. Right Reverend Dr. Hilliard Dogbe, presiding bishop of the West Africa Episcopal District of the AME Zion Church. Reverend Dr. Godwin Ninoy Odonko, Clark, General Assembly, Presbyterian Church of Ghana. Apostle Eric Nyamiche, Chairman, Church of Pentecost. Reverend Dr. Francis Say, the General Overseer of the Foursquare Gospel Church. And Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kebwafo, presiding bishop, Methodist Church, Ghana. On the back page, GREL, that is the Ghana Rubber Estate Limited, pays 1.35 million Ghana cedis bonus to 790 rubber farmers. Talk about incentivization. How much more can we do for our cocoa producing farmers? And Ghana Water Company Limited starts exercise to recoup 800 million Ghana cedi arrears. Well, let's start with that story. There's also, this one, a very important one. I nearly missed it. Rote learning, Baba, Uji Baba, chew poor pass, forget. Rote learning not helpful. That's according to the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana. I'll get into that story. But 6 church leaders have called on Ghanaians to hold high the virtues of love, forgiveness, tolerance, honesty, and hard work as Christians celebrate this year's Easter. In addition, they must eschew negative behavior and build on the peace that the country is enjoying, since the message of virtue, that is peace, is associated with Easter, the remembrance of the death of Jesus Christ. The religious leaders who made the call, including the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, Ghana, it lists those I've already mentioned. The clergymen also called on the security services to put peace first in the execution of their duties, while political parties must also hold strong the tenets of peace as they go to their primaries. So that is the message there from the different churches. But let me get to those 2 other stories. Or maybe let me do one more so you can give a reaction, and then we'll look at 2 more. So we'll turn to page 16 now, Doc. CSOs call on 2 EC appointees to resign, and 3 civil society organizations have called for the resignation of 2 of the 3 persons recently appointed by the president to the Electoral Commission as a result of their perceived affiliation to the governing New Patriotic Party. They said the 2 persons, Dr. Peter Apiahene and Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani, must do the honorable thing by immediately resigning from the EC in order to repose trust in the commission and ensure its credibility and the organization of elections in the country. The CSOs, which made the call at a press conference in Accra yesterday, are the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, that is CODEO, the Star Ghana Foundation, and the Civic Forum Initiative. Speaking on behalf of the CSOs, a member of the advisory board of CODEO, Reverend Dr. Fred Degbe, said, quote, "It is our considered and strongly held view and position that the appointment to the independent and non-partisan EC of persons who are known partisans or who have a partisan cloud over their heads is inconsistent with the spirit of the Constitution. Moreover, he said, such appointments risked undermining cross-party and public trust and confidence in the EC and thus posed a danger to the country's evolving democracy." What do you make of these two? Love, forgiveness, honesty must reign supreme during Easter. That is our church leaders and their call to Ghanaians, but especially on the bit about the CSOs and the charge to those two appointed to the Electoral Commission. I'll just end with the fact that whoever is appointed to the Electoral Commission, like politics, study of politics will tell you, we are all political animals. Doesn't matter if they are affiliated to one party.
Yeah, first of all, we need to appreciate that the Electoral Commission serves as the fulcrum for building peace and security in our country. When you look at the tensions that is actually evolving from democracies across Africa, even in developed countries, you come to believe that the Electoral Commission plays a central role in sustaining our democracy. So coming to who takes responsibility, who plays a major role in leadership, who is the chair, is something we need to look at. In terms of affiliation, we need to put conscience above some of the things that we look at. For me, what the COS are saying is something we have to look at again, because how can we protect the integrity of our electoral process? Look at the recent elections in Nigeria. Look at what is happening across the globe. Even American democracy. It got to a stage, you will see what happened between Biden and Donald Trump. That should tell you that the electoral process must be protected, and everything that we have to do in our capacity to build the integrity of the process and to actually respect the will of the people is supreme. So for me, the call is genuine. The nation must look into that again. The president must look into it again for us to see exactly what must we do as a people that believe in entrenching our democratic principles, so that the verdict of the people, the voice of the grassroots, the voice of the masses would be respected through the process.
Interesting thoughts there. For those of you watching us online, our apologies for the delay, but we just got online, so you can catch us there. So that is the situation. Let's go to some other stories now. And there is rote learning not helpful. That's according to the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana. Let's get to that page 20. And the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Apia Amfo, says students must be challenged to focus on critical thinking and analytical skills, since rote learning has not been helpful. Moreover, she said there was the need to create avenues for students to explore their creative sides, music, and dance. Quoting her, she says, "We should be less focused on assessing students based on memory and more on application. For that to happen, we need to focus on teacher training, incentivize our brightest students to go into teaching, and keep small class sizes to allow for more interaction," she stated. And that's interesting. It's interesting she makes that point. I remember being back in school, political science class, least mistake. I think there were two, groups, A and B. If you made a little mistake, you would have to be outside of the class. You would have an overflow of students. And imagine the University of Ghana with all its facilities. I don't know about now, but many years ago, that was the situation. And how we'll deal with that, especially with all these constraints, only God knows. But she said this at a new series known as the Don's Conclave, when she shared her prescriptions for world-class education on the Springboard, the virtual university, during a conversation with motivational speaker and executive pastor at the International Central Gospel Church, Reverend Albert Okran. Anyway, so that is that story. Let me go also to page 24. There about some interesting stories I'd like to look at. The first one, anti-witchcraft bill to undergo pre-stakeholders engagement. And a pre-stakeholder engagement on an anti-witchcraft bill has begun in Accra as part of efforts to build support for the passage of the bill by Parliament. When passed into law, it will criminalize witchcraft accusations and related offences in the country. The Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Amin Al-Hassan, said this at a regional roundtable on inclusive journalism for senior media professionals and editors in Accra yesterday. It was on the theme, Media Response to Conflict, Migration and Minority Rights, Perspectives on Community Livelihood. I bring this up because we know, if you go to the northern belt of the country, especially places like Kukwom, among others, we have the ignominious title of, having witch camps, Gambaga, among other places, because guess what? People are hounded once you attain a certain age. And it becomes problematic because in law, we deal with facts. Now, how do you go to a court and establish that someone is a witch? Where is the evidence? So spiritually, you can't adduce evidence in court. And that is where it becomes problematic. And some people, for whatever reasons, point to people and say, oh, this person is this or that person is that. And it flouts human rights, even if supposedly these people wear that, they still have rights. So I am very excited about this. I was following on the decriminalization of suicide. That has been achieved. Up next, this one, and I'm looking forward to it. The final story I'll do from the Daily Graphic, so you react, Doc. Perspectives of Supreme Court judges on issues brought before them are critical for national development, especially in these challenging times, President Akufo-Addo has said. He said it was for this reason that Article 129 of the 1992 Constitution positioned the Apex Court as a policy court where far-reaching decisions on the nation's social and economic development were taken to respond to the exigencies of the time. The president, therefore, admonished justices of the Supreme Court to be learned, know their case law, and also ensure that decisions and judgments were properly motivated, stressing, quote, it is in this manner that judges contribute to the orderly development of the nation. And he said this when he swore in 2 justices to the Supreme Court at the Jubilee House in Accra last Tuesday. So, justices of the court and what is expected of them, the anti-witchcraft bill and rote learning, Baba, as we call it. Any quick thoughts on these matters? Hello, Doc.
Yeah, Chief, thank you. Yes, it's very true. Actually, we cannot debase the supremacy of the Supreme Court. For me, we shouldn't expect less. That court is actually the creme de la creme, the apex of our legal society. So as a country, the only way we can grow, the only way we can build peace and security, the only way that we can build investor confidence is making sure that the justices at the Supreme Court move above certain internal issues, exhibit exceptional leadership, leave a mark of excellence and integrity. Within our society, from time to time, you begin to feel some level of disagreement with decisions and decision-making processes. However, it is very important for us to equally look at how can we purge ourselves as a society and even as institutions. How can we strengthen the values that brought about our laws? How can we entrench the wisdom within the laws? And if we can do that, I am very confident that the Supreme Court, as an example to the international community, we can do better. Right from independence to modern democracy, we can see the trajectories. And because of time, we may not have to go deep into other issues within our legal framework. But what is important is for us to see how can we believe in a judicial system that has a top-notch integrity, a system that will be very fair, a system that will be very equitable, a system that will be apolitical. And if we can do that, I believe there wouldn't be any form of disagreement, there wouldn't be any form of chaos, and at times people go as far as debating issues to the extent of even trying to, for want of a better word, disagree with some of the positions of our judges. So for me, what is key is let's respect the law, let our conscience of integrity, the values within the law, and understanding our social framework. What makes us as Ghanaians? What is right? What is upright? And how can we perpetuate that into our society? And if we can do that, I believe a multi-party nation like Ghana, we wouldn't have any problem from political parties arguing the positions of the Supreme Courts and other courts. You know, very soon we'll be going into general election, and the Supreme Court is there for us, not necessarily for us to go into the kind of petitions that we normally do, but issues may arise, disagreements may arise, and we just want to see a court that will be there for every Ghanaian, a court that will be there for every institution, a court that will be there for you and I, so that we'll believe that truly we are Ghanaians and the courts are for us. So I respect that position, and for me, I want us to democratize that. Let us have a feel of that the more.
Interesting the way you put it, but you do know that, especially with the Apex Court, with its jurisdiction, its powers, it will not be able to please everybody all the time. And sometimes in interpreting the law, it will step on some toes. But I guess it is what it is. Sometimes the reasoning, legal reasoning, and the reasoning on the streets do not necessarily converge. Sometimes there's a conflation.
I agree.
But of course, there are other times too when clearly you can see that the public feeling is inching in a certain direction, yet the courts disagree. It has been brought to the fore how sometimes you can have one issue and different interpretations from different judges, even if you look at the verdicts or the rulings, the judgments of these courts. And if there is dissent at a point, if there's an obiter, you would realize that sometimes it gives you different perspectives about the law. But that's why we always have odd numbers on these rulings. And we hope that, yes, by and large, their rulings will reflect the will of the people, according to the law, of course.
Is what is supreme, yeah.
Let's get into the Daily Guide newspaper now. And I forgot to mention, there's a special supplement on Easter. It talks about Easter, Kwewu, Easter, among others, in the Daily Graphic. You should grab, if you're watching us this morning, you should grab a copy of the Daily Graphic newspaper. On to the Daily Guide now. Galamsey man owns 86-bedroom hotel. Now the story gets even more interesting. Kwame Ato Asare, pictured there. Okay. So now, I guess we're establishing that he's into Galamsey, but is he? Is he a Galamseyer, or is he something else? We'll be finding out, but we'll go to page 6 of the paper for that. 2024 presidential race. It's possible, says Bawumia. Supreme Court decides Burger MP's fate May 17. Nana swears in new justices and ministers, and $300 million arbitration against Ghana in limbo. Just this one about the vice president, though. Let me start from there. And Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, that's on page 3, continues to move closer to running for president in 2024, implying with a flyer featuring the flags of Ghana and his party, the New Patriotic Party, that quote, it is possible. The vice president electrified social media yesterday when he dropped strong hints about his desire to run for the MPP's flag bearership with an official declaration anticipated soon. Now, the cryptogram posted on his Facebook wall appears to be Dr. Bawumia's most significant public hint that he intends to compete for the MPP nomination and later for president of Ghana. The hint comes just 24 hours after the MPP announced a timetable for the party's upcoming presidential and parliamentary primaries. Those who took the lead, Dr. Alan Tremanting, Kojo Alan Tremanting, Dr. Efri Akoto, among others, they have already hit the ground running, and it appears he will now be joining the fray. But something that I find interesting, though, this morning on JoyNews, you can find it there. It's a bit of a reminder, if you go back to what the vice president said then, that they would move us from taxation to production. That video is still relevant. And on JoyNews this morning, it's been posted. You can check it out. I guess a reminder for the vice president as well. Have we moved to production now? Big question. Galamsey man owns 86-bedroom hotel. That story is on page 6. Let's get into that. We can't get enough of it, can we? So the alleged prime suspect in the Axim Galamsey drama seemed to have made a lot of money from the alleged duties he claimed the police in Axim entrusted to him. Kwame Ato Asare Eni has claimed that because he knows all illegal mining or Galamsey sites in the area, the police engaged him to periodically lead them to Galamsey sites to extort money from the illegal miners. The alleged prime suspect, who resides at Dra Kwekukrom in the Zama East municipality of the Western region, claims that apart from his 2-story residential building, he is also building an 86-bedroom hotel in the municipality. The purported suspect disclosed this in various interviews he granted. Meanwhile, it has emerged that Kwame Atuasari once ordered the closure of some schools in the farming community over a missing mobile phone. It tells you just how powerful this person is. At a point in time, he ordered the closure of some schools in the farming community over a missing mobile phone. In street language, we would say, "He bust my brain." Wow. What is your reaction to the story? So the vice president wanting to, showing signs of gearing up, lacing his boots to contest in the MPP flag bearership contest. And this one about this alleged Galamsey in Axim.
Yeah, first of all, thank you. I want to use this opportunity once again to congratulate all the potential candidates for the MPP. But whether he will win or not is what I'm not sure of. But what I'm sure of is the NDC will lead at the end of the day. So I wish him well, and I wish other contestants well. In regards to the Galamsey issue, you will see that this issue is becoming not only a national security issue, but moving into an international relation issue as well. Because you could see the China situation, how Aisha Wan managed to situate herself within the Galamsey cartel, and how some level of investment went in there, and how some other Ghanaians became empowered with that. But the question is, can we do some broader stakeholder analysis to ascertain the people under this very powerful business people within the Galamsey industry? Because it's as if we keep talking about the Galamsey situation and powerful people keep emerging locally and internationally. And the gold trade across the globe, it's a big issue. And each and every day, people keep registering new businesses within the micro mining sector up to any level that you think of. So for me, I'm not surprised to see that level of, business exposure or revenue from the Galamsey sector. It just tells you that the gold sector is big, and if we can regulate it properly and maximize our gains, and also look at an industrial revolution within the mining sector where we can add value to our gold instead of just degrading the environment and exporting it raw. I think we can create more jobs. Go to Dubai and see what they are doing. They import from these people and they add value to it. You buy beautiful jewelries and all that at a higher cost. So in terms of economy, they are depleting the economy. Individuals make money, then they deplete the economy, deplete the environment. The communities get poorer. They cannot have water to drink. I mean, if you go and do a public health assessment, you will see that the level of cancerous situations within those houses will be very high. And how can we prevent that? What are the creative measures for us to mitigate some of this development? So for me, the earlier we moved into this thing with a serious, level of security attention, the better. So far, the approach is not too bad, but I don't think we are really yielding the result that we should be taking, because it's as if we're in a combat moment.
Right.
You see police officers, you see soldiers going in at times as if it's a battlefield. But policy-wise, what are we doing to mitigate that?
Right.
Is there a political will for us to stop the galamsey? If there's no political will, the rest will just be grammar. And at the end of the day, you keep seeing galamsey people emerging each and every day. And we need to do some soul searching within the political circles to see that who are the people behind all this. And also respectfully, when we move into our traditional setting, I'm asking you this moment to commend His Royal Majesty Otunfo for his continuous work in trying to mitigate this very thing. But within the larger domain, can we have a stakeholder forum where traditional leaders, players within the mining sector, the stakeholders within the government machinery will look at certain critical things without attaching politics to it?
Right.
If we can do that, I believe that right from the licensing stages to buying of equipment, we should be able, with the help of technology, to achieve some higher heights in this very sector.
Dr. Agumenu, we're grateful that you took the time to join us this morning. I'll just wrap with these headlines. We'll not take responses to them, but Supreme Court decides Boga MP's fate May 17. I'm talking about Member of Parliament for Asin North. He's been barred from holding himself out as that, James Jachik-Quason. And there's also on page 8 of the Data Guide, Nigel Gazy runs to court over sex allegation. Nana Romeo, who works with Accra 100.5 FM, making that allegation, which had been made before by the likes of Ifya Schwarzenegger and others. Anyway, you can check out the entertainment page of the Daily Guide newspaper for that. But Doc, we're grateful that you took the time to join us, and we wish you the very best as you aspire to lead Ketu North, that constituency, for the NDC. We wish you the very best. All right, and that is Dr. Donald Agumenu. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, once more, helping us bring you this segment, and they're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening as well. Locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, in Kumasi, Kronum Abuenhia behind the Angel Educational Complex, in Techiman, Hanswa in Tema Community 22, in Takrade Anaji Estate, and Esiama in Zama. You can also reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Now, yesterday, it was a thrashing of, well, Barcelona. Yes, they succumbed to Real Madrid, and it was a thumping. You remember that in the other El Clasico match some weeks back, they won against Real Madrid, I think pipping them by a 1-0. But this time, Madrid ensured that they showed them where power lay. That and more coming your way in sports up next.